With a rapidly aging population and people working beyond the retirement age, how can ordinary Singaporeans work towards healthy aging? The best way to put healthy living into practice is to find out what others do. So hi, I'm Abby. I'm a doctor at Sing Health, and today I'm at the National Heart Centre to meet with Professor Tan Rusan, who will share his tips on healthy living. Let's go! Hello, Prof. Tan.
Hi,
Can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
I'm a cardiologist at National Heart Centre. This is my 30th work anniversary, so you can all probably guess my age. My main work is clinical cardiology. I specialize in non-invasive cardiac imaging, and I do some research on the side. One of our recent research interests is frailty in elderly cardiac patients.
Can you tell us a bit more about what concerns you have?
I'm concerned about seeing more and more older patients coming to our centre with degenerative cardiac diseases, as well as diseases brought on by lifestyle issues. These concerns include obesity, prediabetes, diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia. Clearly, many of these issues can be treated by drugs. However, a healthy lifestyle is a prerequisite for effective prevention.
That's really interesting. So what practical lifestyle advice can you give to your patients?
It boils down to diet and exercise. For diet, my advice to patients are to avoid trans fat, reduce the intake of refined carbohydrates, and moderate total calorie intake for weight control. Abby, you can talk more about it. Just come with me.
I've always tried to go on a diet, but it's so difficult. I find counting calories so hard.
Oh, I totally commiserate with you. I think we just need to eat enough to ensure we have the necessary micronutrients such as vitamins while watching total calorie intake by portion control. The practical advice I can give to patients would be to eat whole foods, which are nutritionally dense, and to avoid empty calories such as junk food and liquid calories.
And what are your views on macronutrients in foods, including protein, carbohydrates, and fats?
These are necessary components of a diet. One of the most controversial issues is fat in diet. For a long time, saturated fat has been maligned and linked to hypercholesterolemia and arteriosclerosis. However, the link may not be as strong as we think in recent studies. So instead of focusing on saturated fats, my advice would be to avoid trans fat, as I mentioned above.
Can you tell us a bit more about trans fat?
Trans fat usually comes in the form of processed plant oils, and they have been linked to the development of arteriosclerotic disease. I look at food labels very carefully to ensure that the food I consume has zero trans fat. Another way I can be assured of not consuming trans fat is to take natural fats, including saturated fats in moderation.
So what is your view on animal fats like lard?
That's very controversial. I personally take it in moderation. I consider it a natural source of fat and is part of traditional diets. In fact, other than saturated fat, many animal fat also contain high amounts of monosaturated fats, which is considered very healthy.
That's interesting to know. My mother likes to use plant oil to cook. Is that a healthier choice?
This is thought to be a healthier choice, but bear in mind that plant oils, due to the chemical structures, can be prone to degradation at high heat. So my advice to your mom would be to avoid high heat cooking. Time for a little break, Abby. What would you like to drink?
Kopi O kosong?
Brilliant choice. Come. Kopi O kosong 2杯. Yes, having here. Nothing else. Thank you.
That was a nice break. So back to our discussion. What about carbohydrates?
Carbohydrates are a staple of any Asian diets and it's impossible to avoid totally. However, indulging in sugars and refined carbohydrate-rich foods like white bread and pasta can raise your risk of developing metabolic diseases.
Wow, isn't that what a typical local breakfast consists of? All that kaya toast I eat.
Unfortunately so. We should always try to find better alternatives. Try to use whole grains wherever possible. it is a reasonable option. This is particularly a problem with my diabetic patients who mistakenly take fruits and fruit juices in the notion that they are healthy. However, this is actually wrong because they are still refined carbohydrates and highly absorbed, and they can result in poor sugar control in these patients and metabolic issues like fatty liver.
What about proteins?
Proteins are an essential component of our diet to maintain muscle mass. In fact, the lack of proteins is a common problem. Many elderly patients do not consume enough proteins for various reasons like poor dentition and poor appetite. This can accelerate muscle loss and increase the risk of frailty.
That's fascinating. And how do you incorporate proteins into your diet?
I will advise my patients to take proteins as part of whole foods. Generally, a palm-sized portion of protein per meal should suffice.